You're listening to SoundEffects.FM, the web radio about everything sound effects, where you can hear exclusive interviews from top sound effect producers, meet sound effect publishers from around the world, find exclusive deals on the best sound libraries, and much more. SoundEffects.FM, the radio station for all your sound effect needs. I'm Rick Veers of Blast Wave Effects. Now make some noise.
SFX.FM is here today with Rob Nokes, the president of SoundDogs.com, one of the most respected sound effects publishers in the world. More than a sound effects publisher, he's a master sound artist with a passion of collection, perfection, and endless possibilities. Who would have guessed the 5-year-old working at the local racetrack would one day grow into one of the finest designers and publishers in the pro audio arena? Rob Nokes is here today, available to share his experiences with the listeners of SFX.FM. Listen for more. Who is Rob Nokes? What is your educational, professional background?
My name is Rob Nokes. I'm the CEO and founder of SoundDogs.com, the internet's first online sound effects library. We went live in May 1997. I started working at 5 years old as a runner for the jockeys of Assiniboia Downs, a racetrack in my hometown of Winnipeg, Canada. By the age of 7 or 8, I became their cook. At the age of 10, I became the silk's caretaker. And by 17, I was the cameraman and switcher for the racetrack television station. At 19, I enrolled in OEART and audio school in London, Ontario, Canada. And by 20, I was working in Toronto at Masters Workshop, a post-production facility in Rexdale. My education is best described as self-taught. I invested the money I made as a child working at the racetrack into computers, synthesizers, and microphones. So during my teenage years, I was playing with computers throughout the night and was less than focused on my schoolwork during the day. Another aspect of my education that I really consider very important was playing hockey throughout my life. Hockey taught me about teamwork, playing a role, and delivering for the team. That's something that really shapes how I run SoundDogs.com and how I interact with customers and publishers. I really believe that everybody should be successful in any relationship.
When and how did you start SoundDogs?
The predecessor of SoundDogs.com was SoundDogs, spelled with 2 words. We were based at Sony Pictures Studios in Culver City, California, and my partners were Robert Grieve and Greg King. My partners were very successful. They worked for directors like Rob Reiner, Ben Stiller, Peter Berg, Larry Kasdan, Jake Kasdan, Michael Mann, and a host of others. In 1996, SoundDogs incubated SoundDogs.com for the purposes of brand building and developing a future revenue stream through publishing. Unfortunately, by 2001, SoundDogs was very successful and SoundDogs.com was growing very slowly. So we decided to split the companies and I ended up with SoundDogs.com. My partners continued with their success in the movie industry.
What does SoundDogs.com offer?
SoundDogs.com offers over 600,000 sound effects and production music tracks via immediate download. Our strength is clearly sound effects. I've been recording sounds for movies since 1990 when I first assisted Peter Tilley on the IMAX movie Mountain Gorillas, which was released in 1996. When I began working for Greg King in 1991 at SoundDogs Canada, we became a great team for recording sounds. With Greg's editorial background and experience recording for English sound editors, we started recording the library that was eventually launched on SoundDogs.com in 1997. Fast forward 23 years later, clearly our expertise, experience, and passion is what SoundDogs.com offers in its libraries and service to other sound editors.
What would you have done if you did not start SoundDogs.com?
Most people enter the sound effects business as a business. That's not me. I started recording sounds at the age of 10. I came into sound effects in an artistic pursuit of great sounds. I believe that critically listening to sounds is far more interesting than music if you apply yourself and listen to the details and nuances of good sounds. Music has rules about time, meter, pitch, harmony. For me, it's blah, 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 boring. Sounds have no rules. They're either good or bad. The possibilities of sounds are endless. So I prefer listening to sounds for this reason. Music to me is repetitive. Collecting has always been a hobby of mine. When I was young, I collected 65,000 baseball and hockey cards. Combine that with my passion for sound, and it turned me into an avid buyer, collector of high-quality sound libraries. I purchased George Waters' library, which is fantastic, Soundstorm, Casablanca from Toronto, Masters Workshop from Toronto, Carl Anderson from New York, and others. I can't imagine my life without recording sounds because I've been doing it since the age of 10. If I were not involved in sound at all, like no sound at all, I would probably be at the racetrack, hopefully working as a racing judge. I've spent over $300,000 buying sound libraries. That's passionate and maybe a little crazy. Anyone hearing this, if you have a good sound effects library, sell it to me. You have to own it. You have to have it all cleared. But if you have it and you want to make money, sell me your library. If you are a professional with skills and good equipment, you should be getting paid for your work.
Talk to us about your production facility. What type of equipment do you use for pre-production and post-production?
I have an ADR room that doubles as a re-recording mix room. It has 4 Pro Tools, 2 D commands with a fader pack. All the computers are connected via MADI. There's an HDIO to a BSS SoundWeb 160 that feeds 9 JBL 6328 speakers. It's a 7-1 setup that Dolby comes and tunes. This room is overkill for mastering sound effects. We shoot a lot of ADR in the room and mix small movies in there. You can check it out at thirdstreetadr.com.
Can you tell us about your staff?
SoundDogs has a small staff of 3 people, 4 if you include me. We are dedicated to quality sounds and support. When customers call us, they are very relieved to actually speak with someone on the phone. They often comment they wish this was the standard for all internet businesses. We do this because I'm a sound editor, and I know that when a sound editor has a picture editor or a director, waiting for something, you need results now. Not tomorrow, not in 6 hours, not in 2 weeks. You need results now. So SoundDogs tries to provide that kind of support for people that are on mixed stages with deadlines.
How do you see the future of the sound effects industry with the advent of the internet and all the so-called free sound effects?
This is a really controversial question, and I suspect that some people may be turned off by my answer, so I apologize to you right now. To me, beneath the moniker of free sound effects, there's too much piracy. Pirates need to justify their stealing with these little lies to make themselves feel okay about their theft. To me, it's just wrong. When I spend $4,000 to record a car and create an awesome car set, and then hear about a sound editor thief that stole my car set off a server, it really sucks. I'm out in the desert. It's 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I left at 4 a.m. I wired the car, I'm rolling at 7, I get done at noon, I'm driving back 2 hours through traffic in LA to get back to LA, and then I spend 7 days mastering those recordings. It's just painful. If someone did not pay for the recording, labor, mastering, cataloging, gas, sometimes hotel, and then all the equipment we use to record, our sounds, is it really their own copyright to just take and give out for free? And this is the really big thing that bothers me. This same thief that takes sounds for free, they want to get paid for their labor. Somehow their labor is more important than my labor, than Sound Idea's labor, than Tim Preble or any of the other sound effects recordists, Michael Raffel. They just want to get paid, but they don't want to, share in the proceeds.
Does SoundDogs buy sound effects or music?
Does SoundDogs buy sound effects or music? Absolutely. Mostly sound effects, though. We buy original sound library copyrights from the professionals that have recorded those sounds or own those sounds clearly. We look for talented sound effects recordists who have a good ear for sounds, can identify unique sounds, have good technique, and good equipment. I will gladly buy your library if it fits this criteria. Recording sounds, though, is the easy part. This is the part that you don't want to know about, but I'm going to tell you. The true cost of a library comes from the mastering and cataloging. One full day of shooting with, say, 12 or 16 channels of audio will result in 6, 7, 8 days of mastering. Properly mastered libraries are worth more than original raw recordings. Also, you have to thoroughly document the sounds. It's needed to ensure that the seller has the rights to sell the sounds to us, and then we also have to still carefully vet the sounds to make sure that the seller was open and forthright about the ownership. So the true cost of libraries is mastering and cataloging. The recording is the fun part. That's the great part. That's the part we all love.
What is your advice to a younger sound producer who wants to start a career in the sound effects business?
My advice to a young sound professional that wants to get started in the sound effects business is to record a lot and master a lot. So volume, volume, volume. Not only do you want your sounds to be loud, but you have to record a lot of sounds and a lot of different sounds. So record a lot, but stay away from common sounds like a toilet flush or a generic wood door. There are tens of thousands of these sounds. You're not going to make money off of a toilet flush, trust me. Where you can generate great value for your library is to learn how to identify great, unique sounds and then record them properly. That's where you make your money in sound effects.
What is your number one sound effects library that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, there is no number one sound effects library to me. Each library has its own strengths. I have one library that is recorded in a documentary style. The sounds are medium distant and roomy. And this is great for when you're filling out production. When you're, instead of using Foley, you're using sound effects for moves. And these sounds sit fantastically. So I know when I need a sound like that, I go to that library. Then I have another library that it's big and it's huge and it's fat. So if I'm doing an action sequence, I'm going to that library first to get sounds that I need. Then I have another library that's the best cars, the absolute best cars. So I know when I need a car, I'm going to go there first. So every library has its strengths, and you have to identify that library for its strengths and then use its strengths. There are libraries that say have cars, but they're shot in a way that make them difficult to use for sound editors. The recordist who shot the cars was not a sound editor, so he didn't know how to properly shoot coverage on a car. So learn the libraries for their strengths and focus on that. Now, if you compare sound libraries, you have libraries from the 60s and 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and now the 2010s. It's really unfair to compare the eras because the denoising and recording technology has improved so much over the years. The truth is if you have a great recording that's done on a Nagra or even a wire recording, it's still a great recording if that moves you. The fidelity won't be as good as a modern recording done on a Zaxcom or a sound device. But as recording and mastering technologies improve, it's unfair to compare the sound effects eras. If you listen to old World War II movies, they sound incredible. But sonically, compared to modern recordings, they lack fidelity and dynamics. This is because those sounds are the sounds used in the movie. They're also very unique. They move you. So to compare eras is not fair in my opinion. What you can compare is that a good recording? Does it emotionally move you and make you feel something? So listen for good, unique sounds that make you feel something and find an appropriate place to use them in your work.
What makes SoundDogs' website different from other web stores?
SoundDogs is a reflection of me, Rob Nokes, and I am all about recording and collecting great sounds. All of my vacations are based on recording sounds. Norway, Sweden, Chile, Vietnam, Thailand. Everywhere I go, I record sounds. So no other web store brings the same expertise, experience, detail, and volume of sounds that SoundDogs has. My insatiable need to record stuff as best as possible is slightly compulsive, I admit. So look at the recorders we use. We have a Diva 5, a Zaxcom Max, a Tascam DR610, a Korg MR1000 with the Busman mod, a bunch of 2-channel Tascam, Zooms, and 4 ZFR 200s. The microphones, and this is probably only going to be a partial listing, but 5 Neumann 190 or 191Is, 3 Sennheiser MKH60s, a Shep CMIT5, an AKG Solid Tube, an AKG C4000B, a Shure SM44, a Neumann U89, Sennheiser E901, which is a boundary mic, 4 Sennheiser E835 Dynamics, a Yamaha Subkick, 4 Sanken COS11Ds, 3 Sanken Cub 01s, and then there's the hydrophones and some others I'm probably forgetting. So with this arsenal of recorders and microphones, I am trying to record every sound as best as possible to bring out its character. And I can tell you that, the different microphones appeal to sounds differently. So if you want a fat, big, robust sound, you got to use a fat diaphragm mic, And I've always been trying to capture the low end that the human body feels. And that's why I use a Yamaha Subkick. I'm trying to get over that barrier where a recording is so good that you can't tell if it's real or if it's a recording. And that's probably the biggest challenge with recording sound effects libraries is getting that weight and feel in the recordings. So that's what I think makes SoundDogs different than everybody else.
Please tell us about your professional experience in Hollywood related to sound effects.
I record a lot of sounds for people in Hollywood. each person has a different style or need. So for me, it's interesting to adapt and problem solve to meet their needs. Some people want really hot levels. Some people want different perspectives or varied performances. I've learned a lot about shooting sound effects from these sound editors because these are the guys who are using the sounds. I cut myself, but different people have a different way of cutting or a different way of designing sounds. They may want it extremely close up at high resolution with no reverb so they can really pitch it and change it without artifacts. You don't really learn these techniques unless you're working with people and have this experience. So that's the most interesting thing about working in Hollywood with a lot of different sound designers. Generally speaking, when I work with someone on a movie and they say, this is what the movie is, what I'll do is I'll go into my archives. I'll pull all the sounds that I already have that can help them, that these are sounds that I think are going to help them with their movie. And then I focus my time on recording the stuff that really brings the story out. If the story is about horses and wagons, then, if we don't have the sounds that are perfect for the movie, then I'm going to go shoot those. Or if we do have really good horses and wagons, which we do, then we're not going to shoot horses and wagons. We're going to focus on the guns. We're going to go shoot rifles in the forest or rifles in the mountains to make it, to bring out the story. It really depends on, budget and story and time frame of how you can best help a movie. And at the end of the day, my goal is to provide a lot of bang for their buck. But really the most important thing to me is I want that sound designer or supervisor to say, Rob really went the extra mile for me. He really helped make me look good by providing these sounds and his recordings. So I hope that everybody appreciates the effort we put into helping them with their movies.
Would you tell us about your partners and how they interact with SoundDogs?
The most important thing we do for our publishing partners is we credit them and promote them on the SoundDogs website. Adjacent to each sound is a logo for that publishing partner. When you click on that link, you learn about who that person is. And you know what? If you love their work, go call them up and hire them to record some sounds for you. The next, probably most important thing to the publishers is that we provide them a quarterly report and send them a check for their sales. On occasion, we hire those partners to record sounds for us for movies. An example would be, we have a movie that's based in northern Argentina, so we hire one of our publishing partners in Argentina to go record Indians for us, for example, voices. Or it could be a partner in China or Korea, and we need sounds from that specific region, like a light rail system. And in Japan, we had one of our partners out recording the high-speed train. So we work with them in every way possible, and there's a couple publishing partners we have on SoundDogs that are really, really good. So it's always exciting to come across more sound effects recorders that get me excited about their sounds.
How can potential customers reach you?
My email is robnokes@SoundDogs.com. That's ROBNOKES, or robnokes@gmail. And if you're a customer on SoundDogs.com, in case of an emergency like a 9/11 and you can't reach anyone on our toll-free number, which is 877-315-3647, you'll find my personal cell phone on the Contact Us page. But remember, that's for your 911 call in the middle of the night, or 911, you're on a dub stage and our customer support team doesn't answer your call. But the buck stops with me. If you don't get support, my personal cell phone number is on our webpage. So use it as needed, but our support team is really great, and I know because I get very few calls on my personal cell phone.
Do you offer custom sound effects libraries?
Definitely. We've done custom work for hundreds of films and television shows in countries like England, Norway, Brazil, Korea, Australia, Canada, Mexico, and more. We can shoot a new library and/or pull from our vast archives. For example, Breaking Bad, the lead guy's car, we recorded that Chrysler 300 GT. For the Korean blockbuster hit Snowpiercer, we recorded a lot of trains. The train platform you see in Wolverine, we recorded that in Japan. There are so many things we record custom for, I can't even remember them all off the top of my head, but it's a lot. So if you need something, whether it's from our archives or you want us to custom shoot it, shoot me an email, tell me what you want, tell me what your budget is, tell me what your time frame is, and I'll get it for you. I'll nail it.
Is there any specific library you'd like to share with our listeners?
Right now, we're mastering the George Waters sound effects library. Look him up on imdb.com. George Waters II. He's done a lot of incredible movies, and his sound effects library is the bomb. Tons of detail, big fat recordings. So much time and energy went into this library. It's really a treasure. So I'm very thankful to George for selling me his library.
What would you like to share as a final message to our listeners?
Final words. If you have questions or need advice about recording or mastering, I'd be happy to share with you my experience and knowledge. SoundDogs does have documentation on recording and mastering that we use for training our staff. If you'd like to reach me about selling your library, if you have a great library, come on and sell it to me. Don't give it away for free. Or if you'd like us to record something for you or build a library for you, please contact me. And finally, I have been working with the LA Sound Group for 2 years on a collection of documentary videos that we're producing. So if you'd like, look up lasoundgroup.com and you'll find out about some videos that are coming out. We have 20 guest speakers that meet at 3rd Street ADR, and it's really fascinating and a very good educational vehicle for sound people worldwide.
You're listening to SoundEffects.FM, the web radio about everything sound effects, where you can hear exclusive interviews from top sound effect producers, meet sound effect publishers from around the world, find exclusive deals on the best sound libraries, and much more. SoundEffects.FM, the radio station for all your sound effect needs. I'm Rick Veers of Blast Wave Effects. Now make some noise.